small guys. Somebody gotta be Zeus, I'll take charge. Who's next in line? Can you make that climb?
Welcome in, everybody, to our second series of the day here, as we've got SBTC Esports taking on Team Flash in our first day of the week number 6. It's crazy. We only have 7 weeks. Next week is also Mega Omega Super Week with a 5th day tacked on to the front end of it, which is some wild stuff that we're going to have to figure out when the time comes. But for now, we're not going to worry about that. Instead, we're going to worry about the series at hand, which is, of course, the super big-time chickens trying to establish themselves and put themselves in a great position to jump out in front of Team Wales, although Team Flash sits in front of them. Also, Team Flash being one of the teams that beat them on the front end of the split, which was an interesting little caveat that got thrown into the mix of things. Mobby?
Yeah, look, I've got to say, we have the fire, we have the chickens. We're going to have to see, do the chickens escape the fire, or are we having a nice, lovely chicken tonight? Dinner. We don't know. We don't know. SBTC did lose to Flash first time around, which was a bit strange. It was definitely not expected by any means, but I think overall it's fairly safe to say SBTC has been ramping up. They managed to beat Cerberus. They managed to take down Wales on the second round robin. And those were the big sort of scalpels they really sort of needed to bring themselves up, get themselves a nice lead over Saigon Buffalo and keep them pretty comfy in that playoffs contention.
I can't figure this team out because this is a team that pushed GAM to 3 games. This is a team that's now beaten Wales. They've beaten Cerberus. They've beaten Saigon Buffalo. They've also lost in 2 games to Wales. They've also lost in 2 games to Team Secret. They make no sense, Mobby. This team makes no sense. I cannot figure out for the life of me whether this team is supposed to be good or not. And so I'm hoping that today we get a little bit more of an indication on that.
It's also worth pointing out this team almost lost 2-0 to Team Secret with Penguin starting.
Yes.
Way back at the start of the split.
Yeah.
And it is still one of the most ridiculous comebacks I've ever seen. But they almost lost.
Yes.
So
yes,
I'm very. So this
it's
team
hard to say.
This team could do anything. It could. No. They could win. They could lose.
They could now,
or a secret third thing.
Maybe I think a tie would be the most radical, probably the most SBTC thing that ever happened in this league. Now, I will say, when they did lose to Team Flash, that was a spot series. So Spot was playing at the time, and Vinboys was playing at the time, which was a banger because that was the only game we got of Kog'Maw ADC of the split so far. It's one of the very few that's actually existed within any of the patches as lately, was that game, and I thought it was going to work out. It ended up not working out in the slightest. It was one of the first wins for Team Flash in the entirety of the split. We'll see whether or not I doubt it because I think over the last few weeks they've actually been running their standard squad. They're not like doing anything crazy with their lineup. They're not subbing people out. We had no idea why they actually subbed out those players for that week specifically. Vinboys had a little bit of playing time this split, a lot more than Spot did, but for some reason Spot was in for that. Like it was like that week exclusively that Spot had played, and we weren't sure why. But now DNK is re-ingratiated in the lineup. Slater's back in the lineup permanently, and like. I don't know. It's going to be an uphill battle for Flash now because Flash has all this. Flash has a bunch to lose here, being now behind Team Secret in the standings before winning this series.
Yeah, I mean, Team Flash really wants to get a series win to pump them up over Team Secret. Even if they lose here, it's not that bad as long as they can lock in that win tomorrow against Team Secret. And even if they can beat MBE and everything else goes the way it's expected, they at least force a tiebreaker. So it's not doom and gloom for Flash if they lose. SBTC, however, if they lose, that means they're back in the scuffle. That sort of upset win against Cerberus means a lot less. And they have to contend. They have to worry about Wales. They have to worry about Buffalo on the rise. So they really want to win. They've settled on their roster. If Vinboys ever comes back, I don't mind that. I think he's been playing pretty okay. I never want to see Spot again on this roster, at least if he moves to a different roster or whatever. But no more Spot for this split. DNK is performing pretty well. He has his moments where he blunders and has an old man moment, but he's been fine. He's setting up his laners. He's setting up Slater, and from that, they have been able to get some pretty significant wins.
Yeah, it does feel like DNK has been a little bit more able to set up his team, is how I would say it, is the kindest way to say it. DNK in the past has always been a little bit more of a, I'm going to be a self-starter. I'm going to do things for me. And this split, again, the Sejuani's been there. The Wukong's been there. It's been a lot less of the I'm going to play for myself type game style, which sometimes has been the case for DNK in the past. So hopefully that's a continuing trend for them. Now, if you're Team Flash, where are you looking to put resources now? Because clearly SBTC Esports, they've got solid players in every single roster. I don't think this is the greatest split we've ever seen from DO1. I don't think NPER's been having nearly the split that we saw the last split, or even last year in general for NPER. So if you're Team Flash, where is it that you're putting your attention today specifically? Outside of the obvious that Fook1 is going to get benched for Ikigai, which I will stand as being the correct play. I've been trying to get this to happen all split, but nobody will listen to me. So
I think the focus for Flash should always be mid jungle. I think that they win or lose through mid jungle. It's not Yoshino is pretty much 99% of the time always going to do fine to great. Puddin is always going to do fine in lane and then be pretty strong in team fights. He might have a moment where he goes a bit too over-aggressive or gets caught, etc. But if you don't have a strong showing from Fook and Jane, they just kind of spiral out and lose control of the map and lose control of the game. So I always want to see a strong duo between these two. Usually this results in a Viego. And something that can set it up, like the Rise or the Annie. But that's fine. If that's what they need, and they've been given these picks over and over again, that's good. That's fine.
Yeah, I feel like of this team, especially today, I want to look at Jane more than anybody else, because I think Jane has had some really incredible games over the course of the split. Not always as this like big, heavy damage dealer, not always as this control kind of damage dealer, but also Jane has played more Annie than any other mid laner, has played more Jace than any other mid laner. Like to me, Jane is also adapted to the meta insanely well, which is the awesome thing about Jane. That not only are they having good performances and kind of pushing some of the mid lane talent that we have inside of VCS, which isn't saying much. We don't have the greatest mid laners of all time, but we're trying to develop some of the younger people. And you saw Nugu in the last series is one of those youngsters that is having some solid play. You see like Jane step up into a position where they're finally getting a starting job as opposed to being a backup on a team. And so getting this identification, this to me is a big series where Jane can step up, because if you decide to put more into Jane, then you're fighting against probably the weakest member right now in SBTC Esports in DO1 that could open up a potential for you.
Yeah, I definitely want to see a bit more adaptation to the meta. I'm not sure if it's been banned potentially in their last few games, but maybe Jane. It feels like Jane should be one of these players who can adapt to the Vega
they actually have been
set up movement.
They've been banning the Veigar a lot, especially against Cerberus. They were really adamant about banning the Veigar, or Veigar, my apologies. SPR into draft, and it's going to be it's fine. It is what it is. I'll call it either way. Here's the important thing about language, right? This is my personal opinion, and I'll hold this at the highest possible standard. If you know what I said, that's all that matters. It literally doesn't matter what I said, as long as you know what I'm saying. And if I say Veigar or Veigar, you understand what I'm saying. So either way is fine. Top laners banned from Yoshino, making sure none of the big carries come through. And the Annie, the Tristana is a big flex pick, obviously, for this squad. And the Draven as well, trying to prevent Slater from just absolutely crushing the lane phase, because Slater has been having a renaissance of the split this year.
Slater has had some absolutely insane games. Sometimes he doesn't always give us, like, he'll have an amazing start to a game and then completely ruin it. The Draven game comes to mind because he had like 5-0 and then built 0 damage on it. I got very angry watching that game. But anyway, they're gonna split up the lovers duo. Rakan and Zaya are going to be split across the map. Sora is gonna be very happy. Zaya could pair with this would be a very early pick. Are you really gonna blind that though?
So then we get the real question of what does Jane have against it. I think it would be sick. I almost would prefer to see Thresh here. Okay, Nautilus makes a lot of sense too. Okay, now no, don't do this to me. Okay, now we're off of that pick, potentially going into something else. We're gonna grab ADC as you see the Rise come through. It's something that's very brick house here in the mid lane for DO1. DO1's good at the champion. It's not going to fall or fluster super hard against Jane no matter what the pick is going to be. Does open up the Zeri. There's a lot of mobility on this Flash roster with the Wukong, the Rakan, and the Zeri kind of being able to flood in on top of whoever decides to stand in front of them. So it could be an exciting bout of gameplay from Flash, if nothing else.
Yeah, I'm almost... whenever I see something like this, I'm always like, have you considered maybe Poppy in some sort of role? Jungle is the most popular at the moment, but it's I think it's probably not the best. I think if you find a good angle on a top lane Poppy pick, you should land that there. But that's of course assuming any of these players have been practicing it, but which is very unlikely. Blitzcrank going to be banned away. Do not want to find that kill duo with the Xayah. And they're just trying to figure out, and I'm still interested to see where they're going. I'm thinking Yoshino is going to continue his recent trend of tanks, given that Gwen ban. I'm not quite sure where he will go with that specifically. He's played a little bit of everything, but mostly lent towards the Malphite. So, may go for that and give some really strong engage to the side of Flash, and just try to let Putin clean up on the backline, sort of cosplaying Eddie in that last series.
Just might. Okay, bans all the way through. I would love to see the Agelion role. It's still a sick champion that we haven't gotten to see rear its head here inside the VCS. Actually, am I wrong? I know it was banned, but I don't think it's been picked yet, which is unfortunate, as it's a Talia potentially to come through. Decent wave control, decent play against the Rise, can match some of the roam pressure as well. I really like this pick. I think a lot of mid laners in the VCS can play it to a pretty high level, and Jane gonna attempt to match the Rise with it here with, again, a lot of response. That would be a pick and a half, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be very interesting and would still could have some potential to go everywhere. I think they're not going to lock that in right away. They're still going to think about it a little bit more, but if you went Pantheon, if Sora overstepped at all, he should just be deleted instantly. So that really reduces what they can do on that with that Rakan in the early game, but they're just gonna keep it as boring as possible in the bot lane. We will never escape Nautilus.
No, we will not. This is a solid Malphite angle, no? Like the only escape tool they've got is Xayah. Like Rise isn't getting out of it. It's good into Cassante. Like Malphite would be an easy, and Yoshino has played it before, no? Like this seems like a really obvious like Malphite angle, or am I just?
That's what I felt.
Coward.
They were setting up.
Coward.
They might go. Ooh. They might go for the Scion instead. Feel like it's a little bit more well-rounded, but yeah, I feel Malphite or another sort of big engaged tank would have been a really good idea. Technically, Scion can engage, but it's kind of clunky. I find the Unstoppable Onslaught a little bit clunky to actually get an engage you really want. So they're gonna try it. They're gonna see what comes of it. It's a 100% win rate for Yoshino. So
on Scion,
it's clearly been working.
He crushes with it. Like nobody's really able to punish him in the lane against it. It's usually a bit of a sandbag, so it is of interest that that's going to pop out. And again, the Malphite was more of a postulate to like, okay, they can definitely force with this squad. They already have a bunch of mobility. They just want to be going in as much as possible. The Scion can still do that. It's a little more telegraphed because you hear it coming from a mile away, but that's not to say that there's not a bunch of things that you could do. Like I said, the level 6 roam from Scion, if you want to ult to bot lane and then try to teleport back top lane like that, I haven't seen that in a bunch of major regions, and I still would like to see that happen. You've got plenty of kind of play with the Scion in the one-on-one up against the Cassante as well. So I'm perfectly accepting of everything that they've had kind of happen in this one. The drafts on both sides, I think that both teams have landed in a comfortable position. I'm usually going to favor something that scales better than Xayah over top of the Xayah, unless they really slam home early, just how strong the champion can be. Goodbye, Mobby. Oh, never mind. I am not sure.
I couldn't see what's going. I couldn't hear anything for a moment. the internet has decided no, not allowed
sense.
right now. But I agree somewhat that Xayah you should be trying to make the most of early, especially in these matchups, which is why I was kind of hoping for the Pantheon. I thought that could have been a really exciting way to bust open the bot lane and let Xayah go insane.
Yeah.
As it is, you get a similar effect to Nautilus maybe, but it will be certainly less exciting, certainly less explosive. And all in all, we're just gonna sort of look to a simple start. No funny Scion shenanigans where he sits around and follows the jungler. Which is a bit of a shame. We've seen that once in the VCS. It was a very entertaining game. Poor Slows couldn't do anything in that game up against Team Wales, but just a nice standard start from these two teams. Gonna be interesting to see if the fight for level 1 goes any particular way. In the bot side, should be SBTC favored with that W star from Slater, and of course Polite just kind of being a little bit stronger at level 1 than Sora is on this matchup. But there's the hook. It's actually Polite taking a bad trade.
Yeah, and the Q actually healed up Sora, so Sora's basically as high as possible. Although it was interesting because usually you go Battle Dance level 1, so it was an adaptation by Sora, maybe saving the ability until it was necessary. Nice. It is a nice little trade. And if they hit level 3 first, they can't really jump into Palette quite yet because the heal has come through, the pot had come through to make sure that wasn't going to be the case. But now level 2 hit without losing any additional health means the Zeri and Rakan actually quite Bing chilling here on the bottom side of the map. I'm also snoozing.
Okay.
What's up?
Slater actually started the just went Q start, so it's gonna let the shove be a little bit more, but yeah, definitely was not looking to do a level 1 fight.
Lame.
Lame.
Are you as snoozy as I am when it comes to this SBTC composition? Like, they've got triple tank, and then they've got, like, 2 champions that have to run at you to do damage. Yeah, like, Rise Xayah. Like, there's no dive here. There's no really long-range damage. It feels like they're really relying on an engage coming through from one of these. And they've got plenty of it, right? But, like, you're fishing for a Sejuani ultimate to work, you're fishing for like a Palette like engage to work, and that's what you're operating on, and then you have to close so much distance with Rise and with Xayah. I just worry that it's not going to be enough. As Puddin able to jump in, and again Palette getting absolutely dumpstered in this trade. Sora, a Q comes through, they're going to keep going, they just keep auto attacking. Puddin, one step into him, please, for the love of everything that is holy, anywhere. Step in. Okay, Puddin is now on my shit list for that. Okay, doesn't matter. Fook won. All he had to do was take one step at Pudding so that he could heal. He just kept running from him. It's like he was trying to dodge a skill shot for some reason.
That's what you were. I thought you were like saying step up aggressively. I was like,
no.
Hitting Slater in the face the whole time.
Sora's sitting here with the Q. He's Sora's sitting here with the Q, one auto from death, and he's like, Pudding, come here, Pudding, I need your help. And Pudding just like, I actively think he would have flashed away from him if it wouldn't have caused him to tilt off the face of the earth right there.
I missed that, but sorry, I feel your pain. I understand.
I almost delivered the most devious of caster curses too, because if I had talked about the fact that Sora had a massive glow up this split compared to like when we saw them in the previous split, he probably would have died right there, and it would have been my fault entirely. But thankfully, I decided to hold my tongue, and because of that, Sora got to live. So Sora, Venmo's open. Feel free to contribute to the cause, if you will.
Yep. On the top side, Yoshino's doing his best to set up a freeze, but it's a bit hard up against Cassandra, but it's a pretty impressive ability to shove with those Unofficial strikes.
Look at him.
Sora on a bit of a walk.
He's seething at Pudding for not stepping into that queue, and I understand that entirely, so that makes sense.
Yeah, this is what happens when I end up dying when Carrick doesn't let me jump to him as Braum or something, and I just go, alright, I'm going topside, see ya. Goodbye.
The legend of Dan Bon Jovi lives on forever.
Probably
the best casted game on this channel ever of all time. Wasn't even a VCS game.
Man,
it was the Challenger Braum one trick Dan Bon Jovi.
It was dumb, Bongino, for those actually paying attention.
I know what the name was.
I think it's important, and people should know that. But because it's important you know that rather than anything that's happening in the game right now, because nothing is happening in the game right now.
This is a boring game. This is the second time Fook1 has walked directly into mid to help out with the wave control for Jane, who hits the level 6. It's just the problem is Ryze does so much damage to the early wave compared to the Talia. Like, once Talia hits probably the Lost Chapter, then the wave clear starts to match. But until then, it's all Ryze controlled. As DNK is here for a little bit of snagging. He's trying to snag some wolves. He's gonna jump in. He's got a bit of an angle. Fook1 cannot actually smite away anything. He's back to the bottom lane. Sora taking a bit of damage, but Slater actually took the brunt to the opposite try of that trade. So it ends up being, I think it's okay, putting K2v1 in the right circumstance. Instead, Paulette stepping up to try to help out. Fook1, still without smite, only for a couple more seconds, is going to be here, and with the sufficient pressure from everybody else, it's going to drive off DNK, who's actually standing on a ward right now. Okay.
Is Puddin redeemed? He walked straight into the heel.
No, I actually think Fook1 should have gotten that personally, but you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah, I was about to say, this was a bit of this trade actually worked out on the side for SBTC, because Puddin's not the one who has to sort of leave to try and help his jungler. It's going to be Sora, and he's on half health, whereas Palette's on full, so it worked out.
Okay, I'm going to bring this up real quick, because, again, this is a boring game, and we'll have a side conversation. Have you played Milio yet? Or Milo? I think
yes.
It's Milio, but... Okay.
It is Milio. Yes,
when I first started playing League of Legends, I started playing Bard, which was back when Bard was absolutely terrible. And the fun part about Bard, for me, was putting down little shrines and healing people, which is like a Soraka thing. But for some reason, Soraka didn't scratch that itch. I have not felt this way about a champion since Bard when I first started playing. It's great. As Slater is able to flash out the back of a fight, Puddin, I thought, was actually going to have a lot more impact there. But with DNK's presence, they're going to have to back away. So yeah, I'm excited for Milio's release in pro play, because that champion is so ridiculously fun, and I love healing people. It's the best mechanic in this game.
It's so fun. I've been dealing with Carrix a bunch, and just Milio Caitlyn is oppressive. It is so offensively rude.
Ultimate from Yashino shorted a little bit as Emperor actually ulted him through the wall. Has the damage to maybe make this happen as Fook1 is going to look to engage onto Emperor. Is going to hit the E, hits the Cyclone just to barely edge of it as Emperor no longer has an ability to get away. Is going to go down. As that's first blood to Yashino. Insane. The Scion pulls first blood.
That looked very strange coming in from just a small spectator bug there on Fook1's Flash Cyclone, but looking for the convert.
There's the ultimate coming through. Kyu's going to save Fook1 for just a second. I don't think they're going to be able to get out of this one. There's just too much CC as the Yosh is going to get brought down. Oh, no, I lied. I'm a lying man. I lied to you. Haha, pranked you, chat. Never watch a game with me before. Okay, wait, I was double lying to you. Okay, never mind. Paulette clutches this. Oh, no, wait, he gave it to Dia, too.
Yeah, I thought Paulette was about to make a horrible mistake and take a free kill that should have been given to the Ryze, but nope, just enough. He plays it very extremely well.
Did Emperor engage or did he disengage with this? I was curious. Because he pops ultimate here. No, what in the world did he do? Okay, now I get it. Okay.
Does go in, he does pull him back, and then he just finds himself in a very strange position. So he's in a good place to convert.
Man.
But did he just flash on spot? Because he actually just flashed on the spot with that Q.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was a spectator bug, but no, Fukus just sending a message. I don't know.
You just needed to, yeah. Furthermore, despite the fact that Emperor went down in that play, I'm actually really happy that SBTCE picked up the 2 kills, because Emperor outplayed Yashino beyond comparison in that topside play. It was like, Yashino missed every single ability twice over in that one-on-one, and then still won because Fook1 was there to help clean up. And that was after Fook1 ended up flashing as Emperor burned the ghost. So I was happy that I punished that little bit of criminality coming out from Yashino end up getting punished. Not that he usually does that. Again, that's a very rare circumstance for Yashino, but still. Paulette is playing very patient, and despite his patience, he misses the Q out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's going to be a nice trade from Puddin. We saw a lot of rotation coming around off that play as well. We ended up with Slater on the top side taking 2 plates, and actually put it in the mid lane, taking 2 plates. So, all in all, it's pretty even for the bot lane carries. There's that small CS lead for Slater, of course, but about a couple of waves. But just need to see what DNK is up to, because he has been very active and very present in and around these lanes. He hasn't had the most direct impact. He found the return kills on the top side, but it's always felt like he's been in a lane, sitting next to a lane, and he's still a camp up over Fook, which is good work from DNK. He's also picked up a Rift Herald for himself.
You know what's insane?
Wherever he wants.
You know what's insane to me, Mobby, is that we live in a world in which this league has played AP Sejuani not once but twice, and neither time was a DNK. That's insane to me. Like, think about that. Think about that for just a second. Of all the people to play AP Sejuani, especially if we're in the jungle position, DNK is not the person that played it, let alone it's not even the position that played it, because it was top lane a couple of times.
You know what? I'll have you know that Levi was playing Medjai Sejuani before it was cool way back in
hold on.
2021.
Dark Seal on any jungler with AP scalings is a perfectly viable alternative. Okay, you could build that on Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao's got good enough AP scalings for a Dark Seal. Okay, it's one thing to go Dark Seal dip. It's another thing to build literally 3 AP items on Sejuani. Those are two very different things. Okay, there's a dragon fight that I'm more interested in. Thank you, observers, for following our very obvious directions. Okay, that one
I think top lane was more interesting, to be honest.
DNK was poking around. I expected more from DNK, but DNK did not make the play happen. Okay, Dia1 is just going to absolutely decimate right there as Jane pops the cleanse. In goes Fook1, trying to find something. Follow up, can Sora get him? He actually does get him. Really well played right there. Can they get more on the back end of this one? No, DNK is going to be able to dash out, because that's a good punish. Team Flash finding a really good play right there. Now DNK not going to have a great position to put down the Rift Herald for at least a hot minute, because his mid laner is gone.
He does have some potential bot side if he can mosey his way down there quick time. Can probably at least crash some plates, get it down quite low. Sora's going to look for a wraparound.
Wild teleport. Okay. Oh, Paulette! I think he messed up his Hex Flash. He was trying to get the other direction. Here comes Jane. Now going to pop a little bit more. Good. Nautilus will actually did quite a bit of damage right there. And now Jane is in a really horrible place. That's Slater picking up 2 kills. Puddin is going to pop the ultimate and try to go sicko mode. I don't think it's going to happen, though. Yeah, not going to. Instead, just going to kill off Shelly. And they're probably going to lose bottom tower for this, because that was a very bold play coming out from Team Flash.
Yeah, Jane just committing really hard on that Weaver's Wall, but a beautiful interrupt from Polite and comboed with the ultimate from Slater.
Welcome back to top lane.
Let's see if they can kill Emperor again.
Okay.
All out is available.
Yeah, the ultimate is what they have to be very, very careful of right there. I love that Fook1 just baited him with the clone right there as it burnt one of Emperor's summoner spells. Okay. He's
Emperor.
There we go.
That's one.
All right. Body him. Get him, Emperor. Get him. Here it is. Q. There it is.
2 more for the count.
Emperor. Absolutely insane. The count. We're not counting this year, Mobby. He only has like 4 this year, something like that.
Shut up. We are always counting. I'll have you know. We had a graphic, an official graphic by the VCS. All that thought is. It's a really nice interrupt from Paulette. He blocks everything. Gets that huge double knock up with the ultimate.
Yeah.
Kind of just unfortunate positioning from Jane there, and Slade is able to pop off. Puddin just kind of sidelined, has to watch the whole thing unfurl. But I'll have you know, he is near the top, Mr. Emperor. He's like second or third in
this split.
Yeah, he's behind.
Really?
There have been a lot of solid kills.
He had like 95 the one split and wasn't even number 1. Okay, here's a team fight. They're going to be able to get on top of Emperor, who's in a really rough situation. Can't find it. Sora now into the back line finds a good dive onto Slater, and a little bit of front to backing still going on. See if Puddin can actually put out additional damage. This is a 1-for-0 right now. That's Rise, DN1 finding a bit of a route, but nothing else. And I don't know that they have the forcing power to be able to continue in this path. Yashino trying, he's like dodging hooks that aren't coming his way. Yashino, do you think he's going to turn into hook you? He doesn't have more than a couple members. You got your whole team.
He's in Paulette's head. These are former teammates. He knows he's won a split alongside this SBTC bot lane. He is just, he knows that the hooks could come at any time.
That he knows.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, buys them a little bit back as Team Flash reduces the gold lead to only 3K. It was about 4K a second ago. And DNK, if he gets the Rift Herald, will actually salvage a little bit of this. This is the we are way in the we're on the way back machine right now, Mobby. This is Emperor underneath the top tower with the solo kill. Okay, so how many does he have this year? Because I feel like Emperor has not been solo killing nearly as much.
He's got about 17 before this series. So this will bump him up to 19.
Pog.
Which is a lot. It's by no means his rate from summer. I will concede that. But he's
1,300 solo kills is going to be a hard one to match for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't help when you don't have that fun Kia game where he just gives you 6 on a silver platter, that sort of thing. It's a fun one for Emperor though.
Yeah, honestly, a more interesting stat would be solo deaths in this league because that probably happens a lot. We're not as criminal anymore. 2 years ago, that stat probably would have been off the chart, but solo deaths here it's gone down at least a little bit, probably, assumably. Could be wrong, but maybe that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, the fun thing about the VCS, the top lane is you have to understand is. There are 4 top laners with over 10 solo kills, and then Yoshino and Kiai are sitting there at 9 and 8 respectively. So just missing out. Top laners just like to fight. They just like to fight 1v1s.
And
it's all about the practice,
There we go. Sora gets a good knock-up, double knock-up, triple knock-up, all onto DNK. DNK just got CC'd to absolute oblivion as he's going to fall. Now the Dragon going to be falling into the hands of Team Flash as their second of the game. We are at 17 minutes with only our second Dragon. We're in for an 85-minute game here, Mobby. This is unwieldy.
Yeah. We're in for a pretty long one. SBTC are going to have to try and get something back. The Slater is in a pretty comfortable position, of course, getting pretty close towards those Navori Quick Blades. And that's going to be, at least in my eyes, a signal to actually start trying to group a bit more aggressively. Dia's going to slowly try and scale up. Has that Rod of Ages in hand, but it's still a while away from complete. 8 minutes, specifically. So it might just be a little bit of time where SBTC feels they don't need to contest these early Drakes. They can sit quite comfortably, and especially with how delayed it's been, they can sit quite comfortably and wait for Drake number 3, Drake number 4 to actually start bothering with actually meeting Team Flash on the field of battle.
I've never been bothered to do that in my entire life, to be quite honest. So I'm sure they're not that pressed about it right this second either.
Yeah, okay.
That's experiential.
All right, everyone. If we hit a donation goal, we can send Rebel to Vietnam where he can fight the entirety of Team Flash.
I would be happy to do that. I feel like I could. I don't know that I would win, but I would definitely do more damage than you would imagine that I would. So that's the important part here. I have to imagine that Yoshino is just jacked, and outside of that, I probably have a good chance. What would really happen is, like, out of nowhere, like, Sora would just be like an Olympic level, like, fighter of some sort of a fighting style, and I would be like, okay, well, my bad. What is our donation goal for that, by the way? Any amount? I think that makes sense.
How much is a flight from America to Vietnam?
I'm gonna go ahead and say too much is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, probably. It's well without our budget. We could pay us anything.
That's a concept bit, though. What if I just fought every VCS team? I get sent to VCS and I just fight every VCS team as Ingo Sora. That's an immediate pick on a Slater, which is a good shutdown, over to Puddin. And Jane picks up the other one. Okay, you're loving the fact that your damage dealers are picking up those kills. Big shutdown drops the gold lead to about 1.5. And again, the important part, Puddin got one of those big shutdowns as well, which is just massive for this team's team fighting potential.
That was absolutely beautiful. Just kind of came out of nowhere, and Slater had no time at all to react. No flash, no ultimate, or anything. It just walled off. There's no counterplay to Rakan's engage, and that wall just meant that Paulette would fall as well. So beautifully played, beautifully executed. TNK just now left having to drop this Rift Herald in the middle of nowhere. That's Shirley just committed to nothing.
bouncing between 2 minions in the tower now also, which is pretty funny to actually watch. I believe that is Shirley hitting the gritty, folks. We've never seen Shirley hit the gritty before, but you just saw it live on stream, which is pretty cool. But the important bit of this information is just that, like, again, they're crashing in mid lane. I didn't think this was going to get much because I think DNK tried this earlier and it didn't actually get much. But they were able to get a little bit of pay dirt as they crack mid tower, which is a valuable tool. Get some gold back as well. Back up to about a 1,500 gold lead. It's bouncing between 1 and 1,500, something like that, depending on where the waves are at. But a bit of gold back to SBTC. And again, the mid tower cracks means a lot more potential for kind of being able to shove up the mid wave. A lot more punishment to be had around some of the neutral objectives, especially with Team Flash having 2 dragons. That's a big thing to consider.
Yeah, I do like this adaptation from Puddin to go quickly for the Renards to just try and match that bush, make sure they can sort of counterbalance this Rift Out bush, the lack of pressure they've had in the mid lane, being able to match Slater's wave clear, which it does mean in an immediate fight, Slater should be doing a lot more damage, but
can we, like,
you're not going to lose as much position at the wave.
Look at the items for me real quick. We are like dead even. Like dead even right now. There's like an extra no magic mantle right now for Emperor, but then like you got like basically similar component values and everything else sitting in the jungle. Exact same items outside of a stopwatch in the mid lane, and of course the Doran's ring, which Jane's ahead a little bit of gold. That makes a little bit of sense. Bottom lane, they both have 2 completed items. The Doran's blade for Puddin is the only thing of advantage. And then only just now did Paulette finish the locket. And I think when Sora backs, they will have the gold for their completed Shirelias. We're like exactly the same in itemization right now. This doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, I mean, when you run it down, the list, you're kind of realizing when you run it down, yes. When you look down the list, you're kind of realizing, oh, okay, that 800 gold is sitting on the Nautilus, maybe. He's picked up some extra CS along the way. I don't know.
Who got turret plate? It looks like Emperor pulled some turret plates. Maybe that's where it was. There's like a couple of turret plates. There's probably a couple 100 gold sprinkled on like
gold in that null magic mantle, you know.
Yeah, it's sprinkled into Emperor, sprinkled into Paulette, but it's not in the places you need it to be. And again, the important one is to me, again, James probably had a couple 100 gold over top of the Rise, which is a very important kind of caveat to a game like this. So thinking about that around this third Drake, it's actually a TP into mid lane. Yashiro is literally steps away from mid lane. Like, what? Buddy, just ult or just walk. Like, he would have been there by now. He didn't have to worry about it.
What else is he going to use that teleport for?
That is true. Honestly, teleport's kind of a useless summoner spell nowadays. You can just go, Rise ultimate to be able to go into the Baron pit. They're going to challenge for it. Okay, they need everybody. They just got to go now. Okay, this is what the TP would have been for. It's absolutely necessary. Here we go. Jane going into the pit as fast as possible. Jumps out right around the pit. That is a big knock-up. A lot of damage, but they're just going to be able to grab the Baron and walk out the other side of the map. Okay, Yashiro tries to find something. Big ultimate to be able to catch Emperor, maybe. Not even going to catch Emperor. They have to do something. They either commit to this fight or turn around and go for Dragon immediately.
Sora on the wraparound.
Okay, they're pushing forward on the side of SPTC Esports more than anything else. This is wild to me. Okay, they're going to go under tower. They're trying to push the wave. Go to Dragon, please. You don't want to lose Dragon, too.
Nothing's going to happen. Okay, Puddin's fine. Going to find his way into the mid wave, but okay, teleport. You can't get the Dragon now.
Absolutely fumbled.
Emperor can just corral Team Flash while DNK makes his way to Dragon. Emperor's going to take some damage, but, you know, he's fine. What do you do? Nothing.
That is a fumbled play by Team Flash right there. And again, I don't know if you've ever seen the short videos of like Rise players all into the same song where like it's just them doing like wacky things or getting solo kills. And that right there was another one of those moments where like you could submit it to them and they probably chop the same song over top of it, where it's just a Rise ult directly into the Baron pit, and then what are you supposed to do? DO1 getting wrapped around on here. Fook1 might have to pop the Cyclone just to try to find something. Nope, Sora's going to do it instead. He is able to find him way underneath the tower. Nice. What are we doing?
Oh, no!
Okay. Almost disaster striking. If there were more members of SPTC Esports here, that would have been disgraceful from Yashiro to disrupt that Jane seismic shove into the rocks. That could have been really, really bad, as That's another pickup. Okay, that time it was Emperor charging the W. That was really, really good. Okay, Ultimate actually to deny Sora anything else. Emperor's so good at this champion. It's kind of ridiculous. I seem to remember beginning of this play, he didn't have the most success on it.
No.
That was pretty good. And the trade-off of 2 top towers here for Slater getting the bottom tower with the Baron buff.
Yeah, he's certainly leveled up on this Cassandre. Oh, there he's overstepped quite a bit. He's gonna try and do something with Puddin, but I don't think he can really. You don't really have enough work in there. Team Flash do overall come out well ahead on the play. They pick up 2 kills, they pick up 2 towers, and they just trade it for the 1. That's a +7 Baron power play. +45.
They literally are at the same gold value. They're at 800 gold advantage. This is unreasonable. Unreasonable. What happened in this game? This game, they're losing a small amount of gold. It's not going to matter. Mid tower going down would mean the end of it. So the Rise Ultimate's there to defend it. It's just, we're going to stay in purgatory forever. It wasn't even the 3rd dragon going to Team Flash. We could pressure for soul points either. No, of course not, Bobby. We don't get that kind of leisure in our life. Instead, we have another 20 minutes of gameplay to get through before we get to anything exciting between these 2 teams.
No, and it's just silliness. We saw it. I mean, if we get to go back a little bit, no, we don't get to go back a little bit.
Nope, of course not.
Something. So what we are going to see is SBTC finally going to actually get something resembling a substantial gold lead with this tower.
Nope.
It's gonna be a gold lead. It's gonna be a little bit Puddin and not able to put it together, but but just okay. All right. Sit back. 2.5 minutes until an objective. Nothing should happen in that time. So we need to see where the teams actually prioritize. Dragon would make a lot of sense, but now SBTC has sort of revealed that we can just do the Baron thing. And how does Team Flash need to really work on their response? Next time, if you're going to ult with Jane to cross the distance, you should probably also follow up with Yoshino and ult at the same time. Try and buy some time with the poke from the Talia, the meatball of the Scion, instead of just Jane throwing rocks over the wall and them not actually doing anything to scare SBTC. I guess now this time you actually are further into the game, you have a lot more damage behind Jane. But it's still just when we inevitably reach the exact same situation as we did before, hopefully Team Flash realize how to play this out better.
Big angle from Jane. Oh, they're just going to cut him off. Okay, I thought they were going to look for some sort of engage. I thought that wall was going to go further back and try to force, elicit somebody to kind of step forward, but it's not going to happen. All right, let's play a game, Mobby. All right, you ready for this? Okay, I'm going to name 3 champions, and you're going to tell me which one of them did the most healing in an ARAM, okay? Number 1, Melio. Number 2, Sona. Or number 3, Twitch. The answer might surprise you.
It's gonna be Twitch because he's the only one who doesn't have reduced healing on his abilities.
Correct. It is Twitch with exclusively a Moonstone. That is the only
I'm sorry,
healing you can do. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't know. You don't know about Moonstone Twitch.
No,
okay. Hold on.
I was thinking. He just built a bulk and did all the healing to himself.
No, this is ally healing.
Oh my god.
Yes. Okay. So if you build enough cooldown reduction, right? Here's what you do, right? You build every possible ramp of your healing, and then you build a Moonstone, and you throw a W, and then you wait, and then you press E, and then you wait, and you throw W, and if you keep somebody contaminated, it is a 4-stack Moonstone forever.
Wait, so you build Moonstone and then heal and shield power?
It's just
and
heal and shield power. And then your W, the contaminate, counts as keeping the ticks up for your Moonstone, so you keep Moonstone permanently active. And if somebody is no longer in your poison, you just press E, and then you do damage, and then you wait for your W to come off cooldown. It's just that simple. You cycle that over and over again. 18,000 healing, easy. 15-minute game, not that hard.
Okay. Let's add that to the list of silly heal and shield power interactions. I also quite enjoyed the Moonstone the Moonstone Mordekaiser, who gets the biggest shields known
Yes,
to man.
and the most heals afterwards.
Gets so many.
It is
He's so
ridiculous.
tanky without
Yes.
building any real health. It's
We
ridiculous.
are snoozing here, Chad. Sorry, like that's why we're not talking about the game at the moment, because we're starting to ramp up into something that it resembles a team fight, even though it's not. Big Sejuani ultimate directly into the frontline tank, which does absolutely nothing, unfortunately. As we have objectives on both sides, the Baron and the Dragon, both are available here for the two teams. The Radiant Virtue is going to heal up a bit of the damage taken by SBTC Esports. As ultimate-wise, nothing was burnt from Flash. There was a lot burnt. It was,
Okay,
I said a lot, but it was just the Sejuani ultimate, so it's not that crazy.
I like this a lot. Sending Dia to just clean up the dragon solo, because he can instantly instantly join the fight with his Realm Warp. They just Team Flash needs to find the engaged Soras, but they're unsure about whether they want to go to Baron because they know Dia's not there.
Yeah,
but they kind of want to turn, so they're just going to lose the Baron and lose the Dragon rather, and not actually be in a spot to threaten this.
Yeah, they're getting fandangled around a little bit here by the side of SBTC Esports. As SBTC does a much better job of, okay, they've got the Rise, so they can always come into the fight, but that's what happened last time. Now they're going to be pushing mid-wave. Now they're starting up the Baron. They're going to see if they've got the damage for it at some capacity. That's an ultimate. Dia actually puts himself really far forward. I was surprised that was going to be the case. Dia actually getting knocked down, has to go into zonies. Sora on the back line, going to disrupt everybody as well. And now, can they find anything else? Dia 1 was able to get out. Emperor also down a very large amount of health. Now you just restart the Baron because there's nothing stopping you from doing so. Two of the major players inside of these fights are going to be down.
Teleports are available.
Has the ultimate just available right now. Slater's going to have to do some damage. Sora trying to find something with Colette, as TP is going to bring another back into the fight.
They've pushed them, and they've pushed them all the way to this top side, so now there's actually inside track on mid for the side of SBTC. They can get this pressure onto the mid lane tower and start bearing up themselves.
How did Flash not take control of the Baron pit here? I feel like so many ultimates, so many things have been burnt by SBTC Esports. They took so much health off his team, and yet here they are, still having to fight their way back into the Baron pit, as it's a 4v5 right now. Emperor coming from the left side. Yoshino dumps the ultimate for no reason, and now no ultimates remaining on the side of Team Flash. As SBTC Esports somehow get away with highway robbery, highway larceny somehow. I don't know how. I just needed a different word to describe what they got away with, because it was ridiculous right there what just happened. Because we're still right now at the throats of this Baron buff. 7,000 health. Fukuan has entrance. He's going to be able to do quite a bit here. It's going to be taken up by Zaya. Now the fight afterwards, we'll see what happens. Putting props the ultimate is going to be able to put out some damage. Nautilus ultimate is going to be able to get quite a bit. The everything else kind of doesn't tag. No through damage quite yet. Yoshino's still alive somehow at the front end.
Now they're
but nobody's able to put out the damage that they need to actually make things happen. And just like that, Team Flash falls to the wayside completely. Putin's trying to put out some damage at the front end. Emperor puts everybody back within range of Slater. And that's that. I mean, that's the team fight ended right there. Jane's got a little bit of damage. Putin's got some damage as well. They're going to try to find DNK. Ultimate over the wall for the Rise. Going to attempt to get something else. But it's not going to happen. I don't think Jane is not quite going to be able. Maybe the Leandries? No, it's not going to kick down Slater.
Show us Slater's health.
Thankfully, we have this wave to look at. Look at the damage in this fight. Look at that.
And Putin, I don't even know if he actually had the ultimate for most. Okay, no, he did. It just
how did Sora die
really
without doing any damage here?
Wait, actually, okay, yeah, no, Putin has his ultimate up, and it just doesn't feel like it's doing all that much on the bounce damage yet, but they just don't do it. I don't think Sora actually had his ultimate up.
No, he didn't.
I think it's
okay.
It's all makes a lot of sense, but yeah, Emperor just turns that team fight around. It's kind of a miracle Putin stays alive as long as he does to do a pretty significant amount of damage to SBTC, but
very much so, yes.
You can't get away from the Rise route. You can't get away from Slater's follow up. It's so close. A centimeter closer from Jane, that would have been a nice shutdown onto Slater, but yeah.
And I think that was a bit of a brain fart situation, because if you throw the E at Slater, Slater dies there, like almost certainly, especially after what we saw. But like even without the necessity of hindsight, it feels like throwing the E towards Slater would have been the optimal play to try to get Putin out of dodge, or at least get a trade kill of some kind. And yet it was thrown at the Rise just as a deterrent of some kind to keep them away. Again, Team Flash, it felt like they won the first version of that fight. They twice in a row took engagements that they were winning in, against the side of SBTC Esports. And it was only once SBTC Esports dragged them down to their level in a third different bout around the Baron buff that they finally lost that fight. Again, at that point, I don't even want to blame Sora, because Sora had been playing some immaculate League of Legends and just didn't have the cooldowns to contribute to that fight in the slightest, because everything had been burnt the fight before. Like, he found a dirty ultimate to be able to disrupt the entire backline. And again, it's Team Flash. I don't know what their problem is, but they are so close to winning fights and just cannot seem to get it at the last moment.
Yeah. It's just the small things. Like, that fight might have been actually so much different if Yoshino had that unstoppable onslaught to just, even that 1 second knock up onto someone in the front line, give Puddin a little bit more ramp up time, give him a little bit more space. Maybe you make Enper get low enough that he can't do that and move forward and knock the whole team in.
Ooh.
Still have some Baron time left. They are going to pick up that one tower with it. It's not the biggest Baron in the world, because there was so much fighting that took place, but it has given up a nice sort of spin in timing to fall straight back onto this dragon. This time Team Flash should be in position to set that up. And now Seri has 4 items, so he can do a lot of damage to Enper and DNK now. But Slater's full build, just quietly, just casually full build.
Casually full build. Out of fairness, the Guardian Angel doesn't do a ridiculous amount for your damage. It is mostly just for second life, so in the right circumstance, it's not going to be... like, if you pop that Guardian Angel, it suddenly becomes not full build anymore, which is one nice thing, but that's assuming you can kill Slater, which is just not going to happen. What is going on right now?
They just leave. Jane went to the top lane, so Flash had to leave the pit because they couldn't fight 4v5 because Jane doesn't have teleport on the Summoner Spellbook, and so they try and push down mid, but they can't push a tower, and that gives SBTC the ability to push down bot lane. They shouldn't be able to crack the inhibitor, given Jane.
Hey, can we consider?
That's just freebies for SBTC.
Can we consider Slater a tank in this game with a Bloodthirster, a Guardian Angel, and 3 Mountain Drakes, especially if they get Soul? Like, is that tank? Do you think Ryze is a tank at that point?
I mean, Ryze might as well always be a tank, given the Seraph's Rolla.
Yeah. Seraph's Rolla, and then also has Zonias for armor, has Merc Treads for a little bit of magic resistance. If you get any amount more, then it's like you're just not even questionably a tank. You're just a tank, especially with a Quadra Mountain Soul. Like, that's like.
Unironically, you might as well. You're probably better off selling those Zonias and dropping in a Frozen Heart in there for Dia. I'm gonna see what he's gonna go for now. Probably wards. I was thinking maybe an needlessly large rod to try and get towards that Rabadon's, but wants that ward space so he can ward, and he's gonna slowly save up that.
I want to throw in a quick reminder to everybody that this game could have been at 3 dragons for Team Flash like 20 minutes ago if they had just decided to go for the dragon and just gave the Baron away, which ended up not even being a fruitful Baron. And they didn't even kill anybody on the back end of it. Like, they didn't kill anybody. They didn't get a massive team fight. All they got for that Baron was the 1 tower. And if Team Flash had just gone, could have gotten it away. As Enper gets denied, has to press the W just to make sure not to get knocked up by Yoshino. Yoshino is going to be at the front line. Jane trying to put out damage. DNK also trying to prevent by being a disruptor in the midst of everything. Enper, very, very high health, surprisingly. As Puddin's going to pop the ultimate, now you got to start doing some work. Got to start hitting some members. If you're Puddin right here, he hasn't been able to do it great. Featherpool is going to do a lot to the front line as Paulette and Enper both getting driven out. But again, SBTCE, how are they kiting out of these situations? It's like none of them can take damage. The second that they don't want to, they just pull out and are immediately gone. Sora finds a good knockup. Puddin's going to try to shift up to the top side to fight to find out Dia 1. Dia 1's going to flash away to make sure no damage comes through. And again, SPTC, despite getting caught out, they just don't die, Mobby. They just don't die.
They have 3 Mountain Drakes. They have 3 tanks. They have so much defensive stats. Puddin has nothing left in the tank. Yoshino's going to teleport back in. They might find Paulette.
Paulette gets picked. Okay, Paulette is going to die. Now Jane
Baron.
has a really good possibility. Baron almost kills Enper, if not just outright kills Enper. Great use of the W right there to prevent the CC from coming down, because the Jane shove would have been an execute onto Enper right there. Now they're on Baron. Now they have a chance to kind of crack this game back open. Let's see if SPTC has more miracles amongst them. We do not
Amp
know.
has been
Nice
on
shove
point.
is going to find
Oh.
something. Now damage. Again, they're concaving, but they're not able to get anything else. And they're not on the Baron buff still. They're still not committing to the Baron, as they're just going to bail right now. But then SBTC steps back in. Slater's full health. Dia's full health. Like, you don't care. Like, you
Sora's
have to
gonna
take the fight now. Sora's going to try. Pops the ultimate. Doesn't get anything. Nice seismic shove once again. But nobody's there to follow it up. Nobody's there to find anything. As DNK on the front line, just trying to put some additional damage. There's Fook 1 into the back line, trying to find something. Ultimate's going to be popped by Emperor to make sure things are going to go in. Fook 1 now in a really bad position on the other side of the fight. A trade 1-for-1 mid laner for mid laner. Slater's
That's
trying to pop
worth
off
it.
right here, right now. Ultimate gets popped to try to get something. Puddin is going to be able to flash in and find something.
Jane!
And I don't think Puddin's going to have the health to actually do anything on the other side of the fight, as Jane's going to be able to find a little bit more. And Slater with the Feather Pool is just going to win the fight. Jane trying to escape now to the best of his abilities. Does he have the damage? The Ender's not going to be enough, I don't think. And yeah, Slater
Quadra.
carries the back end of that fight. It was so long, but finally SBTC Esports able to come out on top. That might be the end of the game right here, with the bottom lane shoved in as far as it is.
It's such a long back and forth, but Slater's able to stick around through it all. They've got the wave, they've got DNK and Palette to tank if they so desire. This should be the game. Sora, can he do anything? Not really. He doesn't have the ultimate, and Palette's gonna make damn sure he's not going anywhere.
Yes. That's just that for the side of Team Flash. They're just gonna auto away at the tower. Again, so many times SBTC Esports feels like they lived through fights that they should never have had the ability to live through. 40 minutes into the game. We were 5 minutes short of our projected time here, Mobby. That's unfortunate, but one way or another, SBTC Esports takes a big win over top of Flash.
I have to say, honestly, that whole fight, that whole kerfuffle around that Baron, there's one mechanic that Enpa did that kind of actually, I think, made it really possible for SBTC to come out on top.
Mm.
He didn't press ult. He kept his resistances. He stayed so damn tanky the entire time and just ate. Like, you see that damage that's coming out of Zeri and Talia. That's just all going into Enpa and not actually doing all that much. DNK as well taking his fair share and healing it out with Warmogs, but man, that was just a brick wall. I think that's just coming up to be the meta we're falling into in VCS. Just put as many big tanks in front of it, carry as possible.
Seems like it. And in this game, again, I want to go back to that Baron and that Dragon push, because it feels like, imagine if Team Flash would have been able to leverage, even if they fell down like 2,000 gold, imagine if they would have been able to leverage Mountain Soul over basically the last 2-3 dragons in the game. That would have been a world of difference for this team to be able to actually themselves kind of force this, because it felt like from that moment, the second that they got pulled off of the Dragon to go to the Baron and then also lost the Dragon for nothing, like they were just getting run around the map. It felt like SBTC Esports was just like they were commanding them like I don't know a good way to say it. So I'm just not going to.
There's definitely just a lot of trying to catch the loss. Definitely
Yes.
trying to, like, they lost the Baron. They tried to chase 4 kills. They didn't get them. They ended up completely on the top side. Enpa was able to reset, go to mid lane, and just say, "If you can't get past me, I'm just going to stand here, and my team's going to take Dragon. What are you going to do? Nothing."
Yeah. And again,
from there, it kind of fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, the combination of like the triple Mountain Drake, the combination of members being able to back up in fights and like not die because the damage just couldn't get there. I feel like there was a killer instinct in Puddin that wasn't existent in that game, that if somehow Puddin would have been able to slide to the back of a fight, they would have won. Like, that's all that they needed, was any amount of pressure to get to the back of a fight, because he had the damage to kill people. You saw that. He just wasn't able to hit them because they were backed far enough. They just kept backing up until the ultimate wore off. That Puddin wasn't able to do anything. To me, Flash played that game immaculately. It was a great game from Flash. Team fighting wise, they were so close to winning it. They just got absolutely out-called, both on an individual scale and on a macro scale, compared to the side of SBTC Esports. So game number 2, probably going to be an absolute banger, probably going to be really exciting. We'll see if any adaptions come through from the two squads. We'll be back in a couple minutes. welcome in everybody as we're into game number 2 here between Flash and SBTC Esports. Game 1, SBTC Esports kind of ran around the rosy a little bit, and Flash unfortunately didn't have a pocket full of posies, or did have a pocket full of posies. I don't know how that's supposed to go.
A pocket full of posies is meant to protect you from the plague, but they still all fall down at the end. So
okay, so Flash did have a pocket full of posies. All right, yeah, we'll go with that. They had a pocket full of posies or something like that. That's what we'll go with. As my analogy is definitely stuck 100% how I intended it to.
Yeah. We love to bring in the Black Death nursery rhyme. Okay.
So, what do we do if we're Flash to win? Because it seemed like they had the tools to win that game, and then they didn't.
Yeah, it's like nothing that you can sort of say is an immediate fix. Maybe you take away Zaya from Slater because he's been popping off on that, but recently. But
you know what it reminds me of actually. Do you remember Saigon Buffalo playing GAM Esports in I don't think it was the most recent split in the finals, but the split before that, it was spring finals of last year when they were competing for the MSI spot because, or they'd locked the MSI spot because GAM was going to the national tournament. Do you remember that they won every team fight and lost every game? They lost in a 3-0 and they lost in a 3-1, but they won every team fight. Literally every team fight they won, but they got run around the map so heavily. That's what it reminded me of. Was just they were winning so much of the game and then just lost because they lost the Nexus, which was weird. It's weird to say that they won 55-60% of the game and then still lost because normally you don't expect that to be the case, but that felt like that for Team Flash here today. So maybe I should jump to the other side. What does SBTC Esports do to make me more convinced that this is a team that deserves this win?
That's also hard because I don't think SBTC was playing particularly badly either. They were getting outplayed in some situations by the side of Flash, but they played their macro really well. They utilized the Rise ults fantastically to split apart Flash and get away. So maybe you look to DNK, you go, hey buddy, how's that Nocturne going? And just put more globals in. Probably not, but but the Rise ults were a big part of it. That ability to instantly reposition on the map. So maybe it needs to be a Rise ban from Team Flash actually. But it will be a Sejuani ban instead.
I was going to wait until you started speaking to speak in front of you, and I think I just caught you on it. So I did exactly what I wanted to do right there. I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway.
I was about to all I was about to say is, the stream's fine. Did I cut?
Yes.
Am I lagging again?
No, I was being a prankster, man. As we get a first pick Diego coming out for Fook 1. As a person who has been avidly and actively just trying to get Ikigai in the lineup, I'm 100% okay with this.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting choice. I mean, I think now you're just locking in Annie, as well. I feel like you're pretty happy. You've given over the bot lane of the Zyra Khan, which is going to be great for Slater again because he's absolutely loving that champion right now. But a man born and molded by the Saya Kai'Sa meta, he's happy that one of them is back. But Aphelios, no less, that's going to be the attempted answer from Puddin and Sora. I don't necessarily love it, and Enpa wants to just blind Kennen. Maybe he's had PCS open on another monitor. He's seen Rest. He saw how much damage Rest could do with that full tank cannon. He's ready.
Okay. Now, the real question is, what is the build path for Emperor? Because you have the Heartsteel, and then you also have the Riftmaker, and then you also have, the Rocket Belt. And as much as I want to say that Emperor's probably a Rocket Belt abuser, there's nothing I would want more than Emperor just, sitting in top lane, farming Heartsteals on Yashino all game.
Yeah. So, the thing, I feel Emperor, as a player, trends stylistically as a personality towards the Riftmaker Cosmic Drive.
Yeah.
That sort of solo lane build where he can maybe go. Maybe he even goes for that AD or on hit cannon. And maybe he builds Void Nashes. something like that.
You are simply a fool for assuming that anyone would build Cosmic Drive alongside Riftmaker in this league, okay? Nobody builds that for some reason, and I don't know why. When we first saw the Kennen and we saw the Conqueror, we were like, oh yeah, this is the Riftmaker and Cosmic Drive build. And then we've seen it 4 other times, and no one has built Cosmic Drive even a single time.
I blame Kiaya. This is all Kiaya's fault.
Classic Kiaya.
Yeah, anything about Kennen is Kiaya's fault in this split specifically. Even though historically it's not really been his thing. They listened.
Okay.
They've got the Nocturne.
The Nocturne.
I was joking. I guess
Banger,
there's been a lot
by
of
the
jungle bans, but okay.
Yeah, I mean it's
Nocturne
DNK. Like you couldn't hold DNK from Nocturne if Nocturne were reworked into a support
Alright.
champion. Like,
let's go Galio. Let's lock it in. Let's bring it home.
Don't make me comment.
Or we're gonna flex the Kennen into the mid lane and actually see N per Camille.
Okay, I don't hate. Okay, I hate that idea. I will be agreeing with you.
Or AP Rakan mid Kennen support.
Okay. I'm
and
going
then the
to
Camille.
lose my mind. Here's what I think
Yes.
should happen. I actually agree with the Galio so long as this Jace is not taken into the mid lane. So if they lock the Ahri instantly, that is a Galio that should be going into the mid lane. Galio's got fine enough wave clear, and with W max, Ahri has absolutely zero kill threat, which means that you now have a frontline tank that wins your laning phase and helps out the Nocturne quite a bit. And if Kennen goes diving, now you got a dive buddy. If Nocturne goes diving, now you got a dive buddy. Otherwise, Paulette or DO1 can always flex and go crazy and just
There we go.
make it happen himself. So I think that's the right play. I think this is absolutely the setup that you should be looking for. I'm actually pretty upset that Flash fell into this trap by picking the Ahri. I know they had to pick something, but like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah. And I think this was kind of the setup, pretty much going from those second ban phases. You see the Sion, you see the Malphite bans. What else? What are you going to take into the Gnar realistically? That if you put your Jace mid lane, not the Gnar, the Kennen. What are you gonna take into that if you put the Jace mid lane? That's good. That really works into it.
Yeah.
And then you don't. Because the only options I can really think of sort of leave you with that triple AD topside, and then with Valius you have all AD, and that's not good. Then they can pick a tank, they can pick a Sante or something, and have just a free stacking tank with armor. And so it's a really nice draft strategy. It worked out, and they played right into the Galio last pick.
They
Very
did,
nice.
and now you've got perfect, delivery for the Galio ultimate. If you want the Nocturne to do it, if you're able to land that combo, then being able to drop a Kennen ultimate on top of it is just absurd. Although I will say, if it's going to be that strategy where they're trying to deliver like the Galio on top of where the Kennen is going to end up, then it's probably going to be Rocket Belt strategy instead of going for something other than that. Now you do have a bit of bridge if like Galio builds some AP. Like if you go Rod of Ages on Galio, that's like okay, we have a bit of damage to work with. So it's like okay, maybe you don't need the Rocket Belt, maybe you don't need the full team fight Kennen. You can go for more of a non-standard build or something like that. But assumably, this should just be the regular team fighting Kennen alongside it. And for Flash,
Yeah, no, I'm thinking it probably rolls out the Void Seeker build, the Rift, the one,
Riftmaker,
the Riftmaker, the funny
Conqueror.
purple item.
Hey, language.
I said funny.
That's not what you said. Roll it back, your way. Roll it back. Play it again.
But the funny purple item. But I still think tank. Like if you did the tanking, it would still be possible. But no, Ari kind of confirms that it's going to be Rocket Belt. So away we go.
Nothing crazy. Now, the other thing about this is that, like, if you are Xayah or Kennen in this game and you have to play against a Jace, you're going to want to pull your hair out because Jace has become an absolute beast inside of the game. I'm surprised this champion doesn't get abused at all levels because I cast like amateur, I cast in college, I cast like some semi-pro stuff. And I feel like this champion is not abused in the slightest, especially here in NA. Maybe it's just because we have the worst Jaces in the world, but like, this champion to me is free to play, like in so many opportunities. It's so good. It's almost blindable in a lot of circumstances, but especially when you don't blind it, it feels like it's got great matchups into a number of champions that are really popular right now. And it also opens up for AP junglers and stuff. And I'm like, wow, this champion's got so much going for it and no one plays it.
Yeah, in certain low levels, I sort of understand. In a
Fringe.
it's a bit hard to. It's one of the champions that is notoriously a lot of practice required. Sort of the high mechanical experience, etc. But all in all, I definitely think it has been a little bit undervalued in pro play, especially in places like Korea where you sort of expect really strong chases.
Mm-hmm.
Not the most coming out. We see it mostly in the mid lane, which is a change of pace, and I think it's because there's been much more relevance of these tanks that can sort of jump on top of it and kill it, like Cassante, like hold that.
Slater use the feather pull, just trying to get some additional damage, and actually missed Puddin right there. Although I will give Slater props because he stepped back into the recon queue, so Slater confirmed better ADC than Puddin.
And finding some pretty nice angles with the feathers to just get that travel through poke. So currently this bot lane working out extremely well for SBTC, kind of as expected. Has a stronger level and has... Okay, sorry. Just wanted that minion to be a little bit closer.
He also had to do a little bit of damage too. That was the other important bit. Okay, I want to keep my eye on Dio1's build path because again, ability path upgrades because again, I feel like I've still seen people going for multiple levels in Q, and W maxing is still just like it literally makes you invincible in the mid lane against mages. So DNK on the wraparound. Will he get Yashino? Yashino has absolutely no idea. He's gonna get clowned right here. He takes the Q. He takes the stun. He's gonna flash. It does not matter in the slightest. DNK gets first blood.
Yep, DNK flat with a quick flash follow. Probably didn't need to. It wasn't actually a very far flash from Yoshino, but either way, gets on top. Hold on.
Sora gonna find something. Knock up, immediately allowing Slater to get aggressive into the Nautilus, and Nautilus doing what Nautiluses do best inside of League of Legends, which is die.
Yeah, Nautiluses, especially now that they've discovered the ways of the Glacial Augment, have committed the final sin of dying over and over and over again.
I believe that champion holds far and away the highest death, total death average per game. It might not just be in VCS. I'm pretty sure it's in VCS, but I think it might actually also be just in general. It's got one of the highest death rates because the champion just gets bullied so much on the bottom side.
It's a really nice setup from Slater. Just Slater lands the initial feather pull, and then Plett has the easy follow up, and from there, cleanse on the exhaust. It's just unreal.
Yeah. It was also, like, I was a little surprised that Sora decided to take the initiative and throw a hook at Palette there, because they obviously knew that Palette was looking for an engagement of some kind. But I would have thought as the Nautilus, he could have maybe turned and tried to key the other direction. There's Sora. Again, a gank from DNK. Not going to be able to stick the E. Now Gravitum. Could actually lead to Fook 1 getting something on the backside of this play. No, not going to be the case, as looks like the wave's just going to get cleared on both sides.
I like Slater throwing out some feathers as a dissuasion tactic. If Team Flash stepped too far forward, it would have bounced, ended badly for them. And you sort of see a bit of how much committal SBTC did to that first play, kind of biting them there a little bit. They couldn't quite follow up on Sora to finish that off, but that's fine. They still end up coming out on top, realistically getting to crash another wave in. And we see Puddin has elected to go for the call, which is going to be okay, penetrating.
Switch to the Galio cowards. I need to see the W rating.
Yeah, I feel like maybe 2 or 3 points into Q is definitely going to come through from Diaz. Ooh.
Okay, attempted play. Sora not going to be able to get it though, so nothing too crazy about that one. Another person better than Puddin at this video game. Look at that, huh? What a crazy mechanic that is.
You'll like crying in the production room.
Is he a Puddin fan?
He's been a bit of a Puddin fan.
He's a Puddin. Are we sure he doesn't mean the food Puddin and not like the player?
I don't know. Maybe.
I never asked him.
I've had a lot of talk about Puddin.
Our producer could just write it on the screen, right? Like that's like.
Yeah, possibly.
No, but he could if he wanted to. He could write what his favorite flavor of pudding is if he wanted to. Look at that XP per level. I mean, nothing crazy. The biggest thing is that DNK is doing great and is pretty far advanced in this game with the kill, with everything else, and is able to do quite a bit of work. This is also not the first Nocturne we've seen. The first one was Levi's, which was that Stridebreaker Nocturne, which was pretty awesome. It was also full tank and did absolutely no damage, but it wasn't really for the damage. It was a lot more for that engagement coming through and being able to hit Stride Breaker on multiple members to set up a play, which is why it's so filthy with the cannon, because then...
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's going to be much the same. Sora just...
Not us players, am I right?
Sora just messing around with that Hex Flash. He's just having a good time. Just...
Go back to Blitzcrank.
I will agree with that. More Blitzcrank, less Nautilus. It's the way to make the game fun again.
He's the only one allowed to play it anyways. After B lost on it, he's the only one allowed to play Blitzcrank at the moment.
All right. As we move up onto this dragon.
I was about to say, Slater, you're going to lose the title of being better than Puddin if you're not careful.
Okay. Yeah, they're going to pick up this dragon pretty easily. There might be an attempt of a collapse to clean up the fight afterwards.
Yeah, that's the play. The Galio delivered way too far back to actually have massive impact, although Dia1 could just turn left if he wanted to at any given point. They went after Sora, and they just kind of bailed on that play completely. Here's the re-engage from Ari. This Fook1 is going to be able to utilize the Rakan, gets stunned up in the midst of everything, doesn't have the ability to ult again, but Jane is kind of helping out clean everything here. Puddin gets that kill. Charm is going to get through as the cleanse is necessary to make that happen. Jane's reinforcement right here actually wins a big play from Team Flash. I really thought SBTC Esports was going to crush this, but thankfully, again, the re-engage and the reinforce means that Team Flash should be able to walk away with a goal advantage.
Yeah, some very strange decision-making on the target selection. They go all in onto this Nautilus and not try and go for anyone else. Once they get it down, they continue to try and push a little bit far forward, and then they're just kind of stuck in a position taking it as a lot of damage from Pudding, a lot of damage from Jane. Then it's a nice re-engage from Sora to fix it up. Unfortunately, Fook gets stuck as a Rakan, so it's very squishy, but Jane finds a nice charm on the end to force a cleanse.
I'm baffled by a number of things that happened in that play. I'm still confused why DNK went into the Nautilus instead of into the double stack and then delivering Galio onto two members of the team. Yeah. You would have minimum burnt Pudding and Fook1's flash probably. So I don't know. It's fine. It is what it is. SBTC Esports figured it out. So
I guess to be somewhat charitable, you can probably say he didn't know Fook1 was exactly there, given that he was stuck in the Void Mist and he doesn't actually show himself with...
My response to your saying I should be charitable is no, I will not.
I don't say you have to be. I said to
if you want it to be.
Well, yeah, if you wanted to be, I guess. You don't have to be. But
I refuse that right.
That is... Alright.
I choose instead to be...
We've hit the hour.
I choose instead to be pessimistic.
Choose instead to hate all of these players.
I wake up extra early so I can hate even further. Okay.
Okay. Now we have Bled. We have him looking around. He kind of wandered off nowhere for the play. It was a bit interesting in that state. But it's a trade on the top side. They pick up the Rift Herald, and it's a small lead for Ember, but that's not gonna amount. It's not too much to worry about. The one kill from the assist by the one assist from DNK, and it's just a small lead coming out for the side of SBTC through these lanes.
Now, top lane could be under some fire at some point if he wanted to for Fook1. I would say shutting down the cannon would be valuable, and then dropping Rift Herald for the Jace feels like a slam dunk of a play, if you will, Mobby. I know you get that reference, being a basketball player and whatnot. But right now, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. The posturing is just Fook1 dropping in the bottom lane as the back was taken by Slater and Paulette.
Yeah,
do they get 2 plates here? I think it's enough for 2 plates, actually.
Yes, should be.
Huge! Nice.
Puddin gets it. Puddin's going to be happy. Gets to...
That makes the gold even, too. Look at that.
Yeah. And that's very close, but not quite. I think you sort of run into a bit of a strange situation with this comp from SBTC, and that is you have a composition that in days past would just dive top over and over and over again. But in this day and age, diving top over and over and over again kind of doesn't do anything. You don't want to do that because you want to dive bot over and over and over again. So yeah, unfortunately you're stuck. Unless Play wants to dig deep and pull out Camille support at any given time, you probably don't see this Nocturne Galio combo again. Or really pulling off the effectiveness that it once did. But
jumping in with the ultimate. Fook 1 getting brought down right outside the tower. I'm just saying, Ikigai's right there. Now a dive onto the top lane. That's going to be an ultimate coming through from Emperor to be able to stun him out from under everything else. DNK gets denied.
Oh, Yoshino!
No, the auto attack's not going to be enough, and DNK also misses. Now Emperor's
Emperor! What have you done? You fool! You buffoon! You're absolute...
Disaster strikes in the top lane. Oh.
Yeah.
Somehow, Fook 1 falls on that bottom side dive in the 3v2, and then the 2v1 dive into the top down. What did we learn, Mobby? Do not dive. Don't make aggressive plays. Simply farm.
Dive.
That's all that needs to happen. As Paulette, again, look at that for Paulette, too. He gets pushed out and then immediately goes back in to catch Fook 1 right at the edge of the tower range. And then I love this. This is my favorite part. Look at this. Full cannon ultimate, or nearly full cannon ultimate. E denies DNK access. How did he auto? Wait, how did he? What? Oh, there's no minions! Yashido's a genius. What? Yashido cleared the minion wave. Yashido has he's got 113 IQ. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Emperor, realistically, you just call it off and walk back through the jungle. That's what you should do in every situation. Yashino now has that full Eclipse. I'm not sure if he had him originally in that play, but he has it now, so that's going to be even harder to pull off, because now he's going to get that shield, and he's going to be pretty comfortable. So now we're going to see if Team Flash can try and dive bot lane again. This time DNK is in the area, no paranoia
Learn your lesson, please.
Just yet.
Everyone learn your lesson.
No more diving.
No more diving.
What we're going to do is we're going to go for a pause and we'll come back in 20 minutes. I hope to see no more dives.
You're currently cursing us, and I do not appreciate it. Do not anger the VCS gods. They will oblige you.
No, I meant the game will still play, but we'll disappear.
Jane is simply dead. Okay. Nope, never mind. Jane's insane at the game in the mainframe.
Paulette.
Well played.
Paulette's just going to short his entrance there for some reason. Bit of a strange choice.
Funny. That's why.
Meanwhile, Slater's left all alone. They're gonna try and set up a dive. They've got a wave crashing, but everyone can participate. So
actually good by DNK, I think. It's hanging around, making sure Slater's free to farm that wave.
And I guess what we really need to do is DL1 needs to find a way to escape this lane. He hasn't gone for he didn't go for material for mats, I don't think. Which means he's gonna probably always stay a little bit behind the Ahri in terms of wave priority, but they find a good stop where Slater leaves and Puddin just hangs around and picks up a first brick.
It takes a 1,200 gold lead here as Team Flash. It's pretty solid. It's not necessarily that SBTC Esports is weak right now. It's more so just that, like, again, the game has played out a little slower than I think SBTC wanted it to, because you really want to be able to force with, like, DNK and DA1 and all these D names and whatnot. But they haven't been able to, I think, to the extent that they were looking for. Again, the one Galio ultimate on top of the Nocturne ultimate that they had really didn't actually turn out to much. So that was the problem. As they're going to Rift Herald, they're going to grab up some gold. They're going to grab up potential take of the tower. There's no real response coming in. Jace on the bottom side of the map. And no TP's here for Yashido if you really want to make that fight happen. But I doubt that they're going to, lose the farm over this Rift Herald. I could be wrong. You know what? I'm wrong. Team Flash is coming here to fight.
Here we go.
That was
that hook.
PayPal hook from Sora right there. As Slater cleanses immediately to make sure that the orb isn't going to tag them. DNK shuts off the lights to make sure that there is no reasonable entrance, as that's going to be the Rift Herald being taken by DA1. He's going to flash over the back of the turret, or the back of the pit, and that is that. Just the Rift Herald being taken by SBTC Esports.
Yeah, once again, DNK trying to go onto Jane with his with the paranoia, not really to any effect, because Jane just ults twice and DNK can't follow up, but there's push into the mid-wave. Mid-wave was prepared earlier by Flash. They can't really defend with just Galio and Emperor, so that's going to go down. It's going to be traded, which isn't that bad in terms of gold, but mid-lane tower is just so much more valuable to take. Did Flash find an angle, or is Sora going to contribute to the death fund?
Okay.
No,
I think we're okay.
neither.
I think we are all right. Yes, nothing bad is going to happen here. So instead, we will just back. Nothing crazy. Everyone's walking away. Slater's pretty strong in this game. Yoshino slowly collecting a bunch of gold inside of this game. I think everybody's getting powerful that wants to get powerful. Again, the one question is, when in the world are we going to get our full-on like Galio and Nocturne combination team fight? Because that if I only get one this game, I would be happy. If Emperor gets on top of members, like 2 or 3 members that were knocked out by Dia 1 because of DNK's ultimate, I would be content. But we got to see it happen.
Yeah, we really just need to see. Yeah, anything. Emperor needs to really get involved. He hasn't really had the opportunity. This dragon might be it. It's been a split so far, 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
It is just a Cloud Drake though, so it's not like necessarily something that you have to contest.
Just a Cloud Drake.
Let me finish. You don't have to really contest each individual Drake. The Drakes themselves aren't super valuable.
Just a Cloud Drake?
Yes, just a Cloud Drake. It's
somebody
not
would be mad about that. I'm not mad about it. But
yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, it would be Atlas. Mr. Atlas LCK.
Listen, movement speed is the best stat in any game that lets you add more. But I agree with you. I don't think Cloud Drake necessarily wins this game. Although, I will be honest, Cloud Drake on Galio and Rakan are really good. And Kennen, actually.
Yes.
Like, it's super good stat for those champions.
Oh,
so it could be a massive game winner for SPT.
I think the Soul is really nice, and it's good to see. And SPTC should absolutely be after that with for Emperor and Paulette, if nothing else. But yeah, just individual Drakes, you don't have to contest a full 5v5. So if you're Team Flash, you should be more than happy to just push out the side waves. Still waiting for a Rift Herald drop. Dia 1 is bringing it now, and maybe they can crack this mid lane open. But with Venom,
probably going to crack mid lane. That will do it, most certainly. I think. I could be wrong. Yeah, okay, that gets it. And then they can go to Cloud Drake, which is the other big thing. And Kennen set up a bit of the jungle here, which is really good for the wraparound, so Emperor ready for the big team fight that could come through. But it's not going to happen. Instead, it's just going to be TF redeploying into mid lane, making sure that they've got an angle to push up mid tower if there's no response coming out from SBTC Esports.
Yeah, just sort of trading back and forth a little bit. Kind of a complete sacrifice of topside by SBTC, so they lose that inner tower, which is a pretty sizable chunk of gold over to the side of Flash. But it's still okay. It's still only it's about 2,000 gold. It's not something to be terribly concerned with if you're SBTC. We're just still waiting for that angle to have that big team fight, because that's where SBTC's composition shines. That's what it's designed for. It's not the best at side laning. It's not the best at this sort of shove wave and rotate, really. So we're just waiting for DNK and Dia 1 to be in the same area to actually get something done.
Just hanging out.
Down the
waiting
street.
for something interesting to happen. If I had a stick, I'd poke them and say do something, but I don't have one, so that's unfortunate.
No.
Also now with Jane being as strong as they are inside of this game, having nearly 2 completed items, having the Spirit Rush, they just freely kind of push the lane, and then Dia 1's kind of stuck here. Here's DK, maybe looking for something.
Dia 1 just does not have enough wave shove to bully out to keep the minion wave at bay. So Jin just gets pretty free hits onto the tower. Okay, Paulette.
Oh, Paulette with an absolutely filthy engagement, but gets stopped up really quickly. Emperor now also looking for something a little bit more. He presses like 2 abilities, and that's that. Doesn't want to pop the ultimate, doesn't want to go for anything crazy right there. Instead, it is Paulette burning most of their engaged tools for basically nothing.
Oh yeah, DNK ult even went down, and Paranoia didn't go anywhere. Now he's in trouble.
Great play, blocking the charm. Doesn't block the stun, but it doesn't matter because you don't need to block that stun. At the tail end of that, he's able to walk out effectively. As TF forcing SBTC Esports out of their own jungle. Fukwon taking away the red buff. Kind of wild right now, the way that Flash is playing. Again, we knew that last game they were playing really, really good League of Legends as well. This game cleaning up entirely, being the ones to kind of force around the map on all objectives as best as possible. Big team fight hasn't been possible yet for SBTC Esports either, as there's been no really hotly contested objective on the map. Maybe Baron changes that to give them an opportunity to come back in this game.
Yeah, the big difference really compared to game 1 is it's just so much slower. Like, it's still all good League of Legends, and both sides are playing mostly pretty well. But yeah, it's just such a different feel to the game. It's just slower. They're just Team Flash are now in control, and they're playing it out to hold the side waves, keep the pressure on, just poke a little bit into jungle and set up vision, try to keep yourself defended, and it feels like they're trying to play scaling, though their composition isn't exactly a traditional scaling comp.
No.
But they also definitely don't want to give these mid-game powerhouses like Galio and Nocturne the angle to have that wombo combo team fight and just completely end the game. Okay, Palat?
Oh, there we go. A little bit of an engagement.
That's a lot burned for just the Nautilus, though. They're not going to turn it onto the Baron. That would be a bit too much risk, especially with the Shock Blast from Yoshino doing a decent amount of damage. But it might... No, there's still a minute and a half till Dragon, so it's just a pick. Nothing to worry about.
Hello? All right.
Hello? I thought you were doing your thing again.
Nah,
okay.
My internet's life flashed before it now. See, this is why I do it, to keep you on your toes. As Yoshino is getting run down, but okay. Okay, I was gone for 5 seconds, and now we're just immediately in goon mode.
Alright, that's going to be a pick onto Yoshino.
Oh, huge ultimate to try to deny onto Emperor. Palat. What are we doing, man? He goes in jumping for the shield, but now
Slater flank.
Feathers. Yeah, huge. Oh, couldn't get it. Okay, there we go. All right, well played by Slater. All right, very last second able to use that effectively. So
that's the flash, and that's a nice big dinner. And Emperor trying to starting the play, and Slater finishing it. It's still 30 seconds to Dragon. Jane will need some time, but okay, this does not stop.
Onto Aphelios, except nobody else has done damage, so it's just DNK. Now Paleg jumping in with the ultimate doesn't actually get anything either. Here comes DL1 trying to find something as well, as Slater drops damage. He's going to be able to... wait on the feather pull. There it is. Oh, never mind. Doesn't even matter. Not going to worry in the slightest. Feather pull not going to hit Yoshino on the way out either, as he teleports in to try to find something, misses the shock blast, is going to do a little bit of damage to DL1, who has to flash away. Now it's a question of whether they can get anything else. Gotta be super careful with the shot clock. Oh, no, the ward was there and they didn't know. And now Slater super low as well. Fuq1 looking for something. They're probably gonna have to give up Dragon, but at minimum, SPT supports have neutralized from between when I started cutting out and between now. I mean, they've taken back the 3,000 gold that they were down at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and overall, I think it's should still be SPTC's play in terms of gold. They do lose the Dragon here, but this is just a decision. Because Palette's ultimate isn't up quite yet, so that's just a mistiming, I think. But DL1 used his ultimate in the bot lane play to save Kennen, so this is just really bad decision making all around him. The stopwatch and the Inferno doesn't do a lot, but here they try to catch Yoshino, I guess, but he just does a lot of damage, and they find themselves set up on the wrong side of town. The plus side Emperor, I think, is able to run down Sora, so yeah, unlucky. Yeah,
that was kind of a disaster right there. And again, if it weren't for the ward, I feel like maybe that DL1 would have been able to do something right there. If he hits that E, then they can turn, they can drop enough Slater damage that maybe it makes it worth it, but unfortunately not able to, as instead they just walk away. Now it's even Dragons, but the gold back to being even as well for a team that is forcing, like you said, that mid-game spike started to come in. Black Cleaver for DNK, also super big power spike, because that allows for Slater to not have to build a bunch of armor pen or anything like that against any team that is tanky. Problem is, Yoshino nearing 3-item completion, nearing the point where this Jace is going to really start packing a punch against this squad. So really got to start looking for ways to get into the backline, make sure that this Jace is disrupted so there's no chance of anything ever happening.
Yeah, I'm really looking for Palette and DNK to go on a scouting mission, try and find the way into a backline, put down a ward that maybe Emperor can utilize and to try and set up the whole thing. You put in Emperor, you put in the Galio on top. Okay?
That's something. Gonna try to get in there. It doesn't look like DL1's ultimate's gonna accomplish all that much, but they are able to at least get a kill against Puddin, which is humongous. Trying to get Slater into this fight is gonna be massive. Another pull gets basically nothing. As one goes down, nothing. Emperor gets nothing with the ultimate either, so the ultimates just don't tag. And now, Fluke 1 fancied himself a bit of fight right there, but doesn't end up going over top of the walls. Just a 1-for-1 with everything burnt. Multiple flashes, other things kind of burnt as well. Slater's still alive as well, which kind of dissuades Team Flash from doing anything too crazy. I say that as Sora goes back in with something. Deal 1 on the front line, going to dissuade them from going anywhere else. That's probably the end of the
shopping as Sora finds a hook onto him, and yeah, they commit so much onto Puddin, but because they don't actually have that lockdown to set up the Galio with just the DNK dive, it means that Puddin's able to get into a position where the Galio ult kind of maybe delays the assistance, but doesn't really do much in terms of setting up the rest of the team. The rest of SBTC were just too far away to actually engage. So you see here, it's all onto Pudding. The flash is over the wall, the flash is mashed, and they commit so hard to get this, but DL1 doesn't really join in. Emperor and Slater are just too far away. The ultimate doesn't get a lot because Fook is in the middle of his I'm Viego mode. So, you know, fun iframes are dumb and busted, and Viego shouldn't have them, because if he didn't have them, that would have been a huge fight for SBTC. Almost.
Oh, you know. Yeah, you gotta play around those things. They're better than that, alright, Mobby? They're built different, okay? Yeah, everybody hates the champion. Not nearly as much as other champions. That's not true. I think Viego's got a lot of appreciators, and it's not nearly as unplayable as against other certain champions. There's a million of them.
It's a personal dislike of mine.
That's fair.
It's just, you set up the character of the Ruined King, and then it just turns out to be an E-boy, and you just feel a little bit disappointed forever. Yep. Anyway, cool. That's a good charm.
Fight. Okay. Good charm. Doesn't matter. Colette can slip out. Lands a Q. Doesn't have to have his teammates play really good League of Legends, because you can just force them to absorb the healing as necessary from Colette here. DNK also off to the side, kind of just balanced elsewhere. Looking for a bit of action, maybe. Looking for a delivery into this. Galio's within range as well. There's a lot of members kind of clustering together for the attempted punishment. This is where DNK can shine. There we go. Right into the midst of the team. Okay. They find a proper Galio. That's a big ultimate from Emperor, who's able to find Yashino on the front line. That's a big damage dealer. Now into the midst of everyone is DO1. And the fight is gone for the side of Team Flash. That is everybody down. That is the team fight that SBTC Esports has been looking for literally the entire time. And I wonder if this is actually the end of the game. They have 30-second death timers, 35-second death timers. Only one left is Fook 1. A lot of low health bars, but he doesn't have an ultimate. They've got a wave. He has to find a way to clear it, but I just don't think you can. I think SBTC finally found pay dirt, and I think that they win the game right here and right now.
Yeah, there's no Heartbreaker, as that's the only real AoE source. Fook.
Oh, okay. Everfrost, that's going to lock him in place. He's still fighting his little heart out, but unfortunately the E-Boy is not going to survive much longer. Sora is back for only a couple of seconds. You got to buy 8 more seconds before you have an actual damage dealer out and about on the map, and they're going to try to finish. They're going to finish the game as SBTC. It looked a little rickety at the beginning, Mobby, but they do end up finding the win.
They just needed that one team fight the whole time, and Flash was playing so damn well, keeping it from them, but eventually it landed. Eventually they were able to get the cannon first to follow up the Galio, and then it was beautiful play. A 2-man taunt into a 3-man Everfrost. DO1 just absolutely monstered that final fight, and I mean, it was really close for Flash. There were lots of times I was thinking, okay, Flash could win this game. There were lots of times in the first game where I thought Flash could win it. Unfortunately, they couldn't. So that means their next matches become even more important. They don't get that sort of buffer against their competitors for relegation. And just SBTC, they do get a buffer for playoffs and get to stand a bit ahead of Wales for now.
They do. It is a 6-5 SBTC esports team. They have been on and off through most of the split, but at minimum, they take a win where a win counts most. And a 2-0 against Flash does quite a bit of work for them. It was rough. You could see the damage was piling up. You could see that it was difficult to execute on the composition that they were looking for. And SBTC, the fact that they found the turn, I think, was really, really awesome. That's in no small part to Paulette and to Dia1, who are doing a lot of this engaging, DNK, who's doing a lot of this engaging. Yeah. Not to say that Emperor and some of the back-end damage that was coming through from Slater wasn't important, just that, like, again, these frontliners were doing so much work inside of this game. It was an easier to execute composition. If they had made another 5 minutes into this game and held a gold lead to some extent on the side of Team Flash, it feels like this game might have actually been doomed, because even with the right compilation of champions like this, you just might not have the correct amount of damage to deal with it when Jace is hitting you for half your health bar, when Aphelios is able to auto you like 10 times and you're dead completely.
Oh, for sure. I mean, these compositions you can never count out fully, because they always have the one big team fight that can end the game. Especially because, like, even that one big team fight to end the game we actually had, I was actually surprised they were able to win the game off that. I thought, oh, surely it's an inhibitor, maybe a Nexus Tower, and then you leave. But no, they managed to knuckle down through it. Just, I guess you had the right targets removed. Like, if Ari was up, you probably couldn't end the game. If Aphelios was up, you probably couldn't end the game, because they can actually clear the wave. But instead, they found everything they were looking for, and
they did.
It's really nice. It's a much needed win for SBTC, as we said, because they need as much buffer between them and Wales and Buffalo as possible. Because unfortunately for SBTC, they still have Cerberus, they still have Gam on the list of things to play. And yes, they beat Cerberus once, but. And I mean, actually, I don't know. Maybe they can beat Cerberus again, considering Cerberus lost to MBE. So maybe it's not as scary for them. Maybe SPTC are getting closer and closer to locking in that playoffs. Yeah.
Do you note today's games were fantastic, and it helped. Obviously, Box Esports playoff run is dead. Team Secrets is still alive. In fact, their run out of relegation on its own is alive, let alone their playoff run is also still there. Team Flash came out swinging, but again, couldn't quite get it done against SBTC, who takes a very convincing control of what is third place over top of Wales right now with our last few weeks kind of in tow. Tomorrow, 3 of these teams are back on, and I don't know how that's even possible. But we have Flash versus Secret to kick off tomorrow, so that means that the two teams that were on today are on first. And then Saigon Buffalo takes on SBTC Esports, which has a ton of playoff implications, because a loss from Saigon would very likely cement them at the bottom of the table unless they make some really major upsets happen. So it is a necessary victory for SBTC or for Saigon Buffalo. And SBTC winning that would almost certainly put them right with Cerberus at the top, right at that 2 mark, right where you're like comfortable enough. Maybe not to say we are guaranteed for playoffs, but enough to say, playoffs is ours for the losing at minimum.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so every match is feeling important, and I mean that's the joy of relegation, and even the bottom games matter, because if Secret are able to beat Flash in that one, then it's really, really hard for Flash. Actually, I think possibly. I don't know. Wait, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Flash can get claw their way out of it with a win. With a win over him, with a couple of wins in there. But either way, Secret. If they win that, they have a very, very high chance of avoiding relegations, and you probably see us locked in to Flash and Box Esports.
At minimum, it would require some crazy things to happen, but at minimum,
it would require some upsets. Yeah.
If Secret wins tomorrow, they're feeling good about not falling into relegation. They might not be in playoff territory quite yet. It might require quite a bit for them to make playoff territory, but at minimum, they aren't in relegation territory. Box has fallen there, and they're still kind of stuck there. But we're still trying to figure out this middle of the pack. SBTC Esports now sitting at like 6-4, Team Wales at 5-5, Saigon Buffalo at 4-5, and Team Secret at 4-6. This is an insane middle of the split, and we only have 2 weeks left. So make sure to keep watching VCS English here. Follow us on socials. You'll get all these updates. You'll get all this wonderful content that people make. The community is amazing. Go join the Discord, and again, come back tomorrow. Come back Saturday. Come back Sunday. Come back next Wednesday, and all week next week, because we're going to have a massive super week of games to decide who is going to make our playoffs as we are finishing up our spring splits to try to decide who is going to go to MSI. We'll see you again next week, or see you again tomorrow.
Yeah.